This is a summary of Carl Jung's The Undiscovered Self.
Chapter 5. The philosophical and psychological approach to life. Our reason and ideas lag behind change in the external environment. As a consequence, they often don't change unless drastic environmental changes happen. In regards to archetypes and unconscious images, they are ideas that remain and cannot be supplanted by the rational mind. Marxism, like religion, aims to mold people, but in service to the state. Life philosophy has changed from antiquity into one of the armchair intellectual and academic pursuits, which are somewhat removed from day-to-day life. Even religion is removed with its archaic rituals and profession of strict creeds that run counter to rationalism. The divide between faith and knowledge is a symptom of dissociation and split consciousness. In order to treat this, the doctor must establish a relationship between both halves of split personality, acting as the mediator in order to put them together to act as a complete man again. This may be the result of collective dissociation, since man is just a microcosm of the current Weltanschauung or worldview. In the Christian worldview, the Logos, or the Word, is praised, since Jesus is the Word of God. There is a negative side in the central focus on words, since certain words like the state can be praised and glorified. Also, words can be used to deceive in the form of propaganda, lies, and compromise. Likewise, in the realm of the individual, words in the form of telling and advising people what to do actually mean little, since what is important is whether they'll act on it. Thus, the practitioner must empathize with the suffering and get to understand the individual on a personal level. Practitioners must relate humanly, as well as see the patient as subhuman, as affected by processes that are less than human, combining the conscious and unconscious into one coherent picture. St. Augustine proposed concupiscentia and superbia, which means that we have two instincts that run into conflict with each other. These which are the instinct for the preservation of the species and self-preservation. Instincts serve two main purposes: to bring about change in behavior through drive and to read intention or meaning out of a circumstance. It is easily seen in the animals who functions out of instinct, since it is their spiritus recta. In civilized man, however, it is more inhibited, but still suffices, such as, for example, our instinct in our need to eat. Instincts, however, should not be seen as simple drives, for they can be initiators of more complex sets of behaviors, such as the learning instinct, where Jung hypothesized was the result of imitation of others. As a result of the learning instinct, it has brought about adaptation, innovation, and civilization, and also self-knowledge in knowing that one is conscious and can know. Many world events, including Communist Revolution, are a result of this split between dichotomies instead of a synthesis. They can be explored in the division between knowledge and faith, the conscious and the unconscious, nature and the spirit, the instinctual and the civilized. As a result, dissociation in many individuals accumulate in movements that claim to champion the oppressed, leading to social and political changes. Since they are a consequence of dissociation, the changes implemented lead to the exact same thing happening. Thus the cycle continues. Oppression and oppressed are actually the results of these dissociations of the self, which have never been cured. Individuality becomes debased, since their moral and spiritual freedom amounts less as opposed to state supremacy. It is easy to point the finger as to real evil or the shadow made manifest in the dictatorships of fascist Germany and or the political socio-economic systems, as opposed to one's own dissociations and moral judgments. Rational philosophy doesn't care too much about the shadow, only paying attention to our conscious intentions. This overlooks the inherent problem that we have an unconscious, a shadow state, one that acts based on instinct. More emphasis should be placed on mental states of man, or the psyche, since it is the single hand that has created the civilized human world. Whether held by a leader of the masses, the psyche has much control, or much more control, which is capable of changing history, whether for good or ill. The more power humans have over nature, the greater the emphasis to the mind as opposed to the heart or feeling self. Man grows contempt for nature, for that which is irrational and random, even though their own cognitive faculties are the result of natural and even irrational processes. Religions are used to the idea that the will of man isn't the only master over nature, and that they aren't even the master over it. Faith and morals are dictated by the consensus and agreement held by creeds and churches. Ultimately, religion should be more to do with a personal relationship with God, as reiterated before. Jung believes that to fix dissociation, we must pay attention and synthesize seemingly contradictory concepts like the conscious and unconscious, faith and reason, for the sake of a balanced psyche. Thanks for watching.